CEO of Marriott said, we're gonna beat Airbnb. And he said, we're coming after you, Airbnb. Horrible decision. Airbnb is able to get a wedge into the door by buying Hotel Tonight, by eventually competing with hotels on their own turf. I think they're being pretty responsible here in terms of how they are putting some rules and standards into place to ensure they have the right quality at scale. So we predict that Airbnb is going to IPO in 2020. It would then, of course, be inducted into Platt. Absolutely a platform business. I don't even know what kind of linear revenue they have. It's probably almost all platform revenue. They have, obviously, you can book homes. You can book now experiences from third-party providers, kind of like replacing the concierge at a hotel. What they also did is they acquired Hotel Tonight a little less than a year ago. So they bought Hotel Tonight, which is like Expedia for booking hotel rooms. And so for the longest time, you had this kind of Chinese wall between Airbnb inventory, which was like, think about it as like user-generated inventory. It's my home, it's my apartment, putting on Airbnb. And you had the Chinese wall between that inventory and hotel inventory, right? And what you saw leading up to this over the past number of years is you've seen a lot of hotel consolidation. And that strategy can work. If you are an incumbent and you see platform disruption coming into your industry, if you can consolidate supply, like in healthcare, restricting data from opening up, in the hotel industry, that would be a lot of these M&A and roll-ups that you see amongst the hotels. So there's a massive merger between Marriott and Starwood Hotel a handful of years ago now. Big, I think maybe $14 billion deal. Big deal. That put Marriott as the top hotel, almost 1 million rooms of inventory. Maybe more globally. This is North American rooms. There's probably somewhere around 7-ish, 8 million rooms of inventory. Certainly over 5 million rooms of inventory in North America for hotels. You can kind of see the distribution here. Beyond this, there's a lot of craft hotels that have, only a few locations, 5 to 10 locations, these more kind of boutique, unique experience type of hotels. And so certainly you don't see that. These hotels have at least 100,000 rooms in them. So there's still a pretty good amount of fragmentation when you look at the hotel supply landscape. All of that basically means is that Airbnb is able to get a wedge into the door by buying Hotel Tonight, by eventually competing with hotels on their own turf. And could there eventually be a merging of inventory between Hotel Tonight and Airbnb? Could I be on Airbnb and actually compare and contrast between booking a hotel room and booking an apartment? I think so. I think eventually they will connect these two destinations and connect the inventory. And that's only going to just increase optionality for the consumer. What does Airbnb really care? You're just giving a better experience because now I, as the consumer, have more choice. Do I want the Airbnb experience or do I want the hotel experience? Oh, great. Airbnb is giving me both of these things. Wonderful. I would expect to see something like that in the future. And so basically, Marriott bought Starwood. And then I think in the past 4 months, Arnie, the CEO of Marriott, said, we're gonna beat Airbnb. And he said, we're coming after you, Airbnb. Horrible decision. We covered that on the show. They have absolutely zero chance of beating Airbnb. It's not just Airbnb anymore. There's VRBO. There's Booking.com. So Expedia owns VRBO. I mean, there's big players in this, user-generated home inventory type of listings. So Airbnb has done some other acquisitions for luxury home inventory and that kind of stuff, but there's no way that a traditional hotel brand can come and compete on Airbnb's turf. We've spoken about the best thing for a hotel to try and do is to create a hotel on Airbnb in the sense of how can there's these companies like Sonder and I think another one called Domio, which just raised a lot of money, which are trying to create an experience and a brand on Airbnb so that when I book a Sonder or a Domio apartment on Airbnb, I'm going to have a certain expectation of quality, service, what's the furniture, what's the apartment going to feel like, be set up like. with the consumer. So you can start to kind of have these known brands on Airbnb. That to me would be the play if I was, say, the head of Marriott. Anyway, so with Airbnb going public, and what they're going to be able to get from that is, I think they get to bring some liquidity to their, to their LPs, to their employees. And they could also just be more aggressive in, I think, competing with hotels on their own turf. They really have their market pretty locked down. We're seeing them move into more business listings with Airbnb. They bought a company from Greystar in 2019. Greystar is a big real estate firm in the United States. And so they bought this business from Greystar that provides 90-day rentals to businesses. So if you have employees and they need to have like a temporary but permanent but still temporary location, they bought this company to help get that kind of inventory. So we see them making small different bolt-on acquisitions to the core business. We see them now going into some new industries like hotels, experiences, and these kinds of things, really flexing some of that, what we call that platform conglomerate muscle. Airbnb, just by the numbers, has raised about $4.4 billion, recently had a $31 billion valuation. They have over 6 million listings by comparison to Marriott in North America, under 1 million. No way Marriott has more than 3 million listings globally. They're in over 100,000 cities, and they have 2 million guests staying in an Airbnb location every night. Another indicator about an IPO this year would be that they're really, Brian Chesky, the co-founder, just in October at the DealBook conference, it was also at New York, announced that they are putting kind of stricter rules on vetting for supply. So stricter verification rules if you're listing a property on Airbnb, stricter rules on verifying who is going to stay in an Airbnb, so on the consumer. And you can see they're really trying to beef up some of these like managed services component. If you need customer support, if something goes wrong, they have like a neighborhood line. So if something's going wrong in your neighborhood because your neighbor put their place on Airbnb, they have now a support line that you can call as the neighbor because something, there's a party going and Airbnb wants to know about that. So I think they're being pretty responsible here in terms of how they are putting some rules and standards into place to ensure they have the right quality at scale. Particularly when you IPO, these kinds of things could then really have a big negative impact on the company, take big bites out of their stock price when you're public. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.